Okay, tools for completing a hard wax repair. You're going to need the special applicator, and this has multiple purposes. There's a sharp pointy edge, and that's designed to level the hard wax repair, which I'll demonstrate soon. And then there's a rounded surface, rounded part of the profile, and that's designed for a rounded profile, such as like a bun foot, a bull-nosed edge, something that's curved. And then this edge right here is also used to level the hard wax as well. And then inside here are some components that are very helpful. The white edge is used to lower the sheen on the hard wax repair. The green side is used to raise the sheen of the repair if needed. And then this will dull down the repair as well. It's also helpful for cleaning this edge, maintaining the profile. And then last but not least, this edge is used to clean out the embedded hard wax on this tool. So this is the very, very key element to your repair. Then we also have a product called liquid sandpaper. The larger container looks like this. The smaller container is often used to apply it to our cloth and our felt block. Okay, so the next tools that we need, this is called an edge planer. It's curved, and it is designed to dress the edge of the repair so that you're taking this sharp edge right here and you're going to be rolling it to the center of the repair so that you have a nice transition from this area into your repair. It eliminates the use of sandpaper, and I'll show you how to use that coming up. And then we have a felt block, and that's designed to level the repair with this liquid sandpaper, and we're going to wrap it around the cloth, and I'll be more specific about that as I'm using it. So these are some items that you need to do a hard wax repair. Before we get started on the hard wax repair, you want to make sure that your sticks are clean. And a good way of doing that is to take a cloth, some liquid sandpaper, and wipe down the sticks before you start using them. Now sticks look brand new, which they are, but there is a releasing agent that's sprayed into the mold, and sometimes that'll change the color of the stick, especially on white. That'll make the white hard wax sticks appear kind of amber. So you want to make sure you get that wiped off. Step one is to evaluate the damage. And I usually use my finger and I'll rub it across and feel for any sharp edges. So I'm going to take the edging tool and I'm going to angle it, and I'm going to just roll that edge right there. Then I'm going to bring it this way and catch that other edge right here. Okay, so it looks like that. Then my next step is I notice that I have two edges that I need to build up. I have this surface and I have this little lip right here, which can be kind of tricky. So I'm going to just use the blue tape. The reason why I like the blue tape is that it's not too sticky like regular masking tape. And then I'm going to bring my tape up so that it's just a little bit higher, but not a lot, and it's going to look like this. This can be kind of tricky too to get it just where you will need it. Okay, common mistake is to use your finger and run it across. Your finger is going to actually shove the tape into the damage. So I really prefer that you just take something flat like this. You already have this on hand, so why not use it? And make a crease to create yourself a small form. The next step is to take your hard wax colors. Now this is really where I want to teach you something here. Your edge of your knife, I like to mix my colors on the back side of the knife. And it's critical that your knife is clean. And this one's not too bad. If it's not clean, just wipe it off on a rag like this. Don't use sandpaper. All right, here's the deal. We're going to start off with this chart. Your hard wax chart numbers are here. Here's your species, maple, smoke. and then it's telling you you need to use hard wax KO 141. That 141 just means the hard wax number, and then the last digits are really what's important to you, and that's the 979. And you come over here, and it's then there's a 106 and a 980. So that's telling you that those are the 3 colors that you're going to need to do a hard wax repair on maple smoke. The reason why we have you do 3 colors is that we need to blend so that we have some of the light showing, some of the mid-tone, and some of the dark. We're trying to mimic the wood that's around the defect. We want the defect to look like the wood. So that's why you can't just pick one color, because one color is going to look like a patch. So we don't want it to look like a patch, we want wood. So here's how you go about it. I typically like to stack my colors from light, mid-tone to dark. And then in doing that, I have all my numbers on one side. I wanted to take my hot knife and work towards the numbers. So therefore, when my stick gets smaller, then I know I need to reorder or restock that particular color. So I have a tendency to stack the little guys up and work off the ends. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to touch the lightest color first. That's always the way it works out, because that's my base color. It's going to look like this. Melt my base. My eye is here and there. And I'm trying to mimic. Then I'm going to just tap in my color and see how it's starting to change. I don't over mix. My eye is looking at what do I need to do to make that work. So I'm just tapping it in and judging it all the time. I'm just gauging it. Maybe I need just a titch of the dark. It's a little putsy, but you know what? It's going to save you a lot of extra steps if you get this part right. And then I just sort of draw it in, kind of like a paintbrush. So you do have to have a little bit of a color eye. You have to be observant as to what's going on. What do I need to change? What do I need to mimic? This whole thing is all about camouflage. And then when you get close, swipe off your knife on a rag, just like that. Put it in a safe area. Be very mindful of the cord so you don't put the hot knife on the cord. I've seen that happen and I've done it, so be careful. Now my next tool, which I forgot to introduce, is this piece right here, and then you can use, this is called a special scraper. And what I like about the special scraper, I usually use a worn out one for this, is I just put a little bit of light pressure on there, it cools it down, presses it in place. If there's any air pockets, it gets rid of them immediately. And then it allows me to go ahead and start my leveling process really quick because I don't have to wait for it to cool down. The metal actually did it itself. So here's another thing I really want to address. I want to remove the tape, and in doing so I want to pull the tape down, not up. Because if I'm pulling it a little prematurely, I can catch it right away and I don't end up ripping out the repair, making it worse. So that's the tape removal part. Now the next part, you can see it's raised, so I need to level it. And again, I'm going to pick the part where the rasp has the sharper peaks, because that will take it off very quickly. To do it, I really stress that you put the tool, the leveling tool, on top of the repair first, and then we're going to lightly move it back and forth, and then as we get closer, we're going to use a little bit more pressure so you can actually hear it. Here's what it sounds like. So here's it on top, not much, and then you can hear the pitch change as I'm getting it closer. Now this one chipped out a little bit. Normally that doesn't happen. Not a big deal. Let's just go back and add a little bit more wax. This area here was really, really shallow. Not a big deal. This is a really forgiving system. You can just go back and add what's missing. And maybe that's so small, that could just well be a marker repair because it's really minimal. Actually, I think that is a marker kind of repair. So again, wipe off your excess. Don't let that melt and sit on the it's so small you can kind of just tap that in. Let's see what I got here. So again, place it on there and gently move it back and forth. And then you have to remember to catch this edge as well. So this is a little tricky because I've got an angled profile, but it's nothing that you can't handle. Sometimes it's a good idea on those profiles to put your thumb a little bit lower so you have a little more control rather than up here. And maybe, there we go. And sometimes you can actually use this little profile on the edge too. There we go. And then oftentimes I'll just take my fingers and I'll just use the pad of my thumb. I don't know how well it's going to work with a glove, but I'll find out. Just kind of add a little bit of friction to it. Okay, now I see a couple little light spots that are jumping out at me that I find need to be toned down, and that's where the pen comes in place. But first of all, before I do any pen work, I would really like to address sometimes there's a little bit of a sheen issue because I was taking this tool and I was rubbing it back and forth, and it's on a synthetic wax. And when you rub a synthetic wax, just like a car wax, it's going to raise the sheen. So what you can do to prevent that and clean up any excess hard wax is take a felt block, lint-free cotton cloth. My method is to put a small amount of liquid sandpaper on the corner because this is a de-waxer, so think about it. You want to be really, really careful. You don't want to put the wax directly on top of the repair because that's the part you want to keep. You want to be able to just take this and go around it. So I have this under my index finger, and then I can just circle around it. Okay. And then do it like that. And the reason why I want to do that first is because if I do my pen work and then go, oh, I forgot to remove the excess wax, the liquid sandpaper will remove the pen mark or your pen touch-up work. So then I can just do a little bit of touch-up here. Like that. The final step on the hard wax repair is to protect it with a layer or a light dust coat of special repair lacquer, and this is a lower sheen finish. So for the low sheen, you're going to want to use the silk matte, and it's really important to shake this up properly before you apply it. And what I would like to see you do is to spin the can round and around. This feels really awkward, but what it's doing is it's taking the ball bearing and it's racing it around the bottom of the can, and it's lifting up the solids and to put them in suspension. So a few rounds of this feels strange, but then go ahead and shake it the way that you feel most comfortable. And I have a tendency to spray a little bit off the piece to make sure it clears the nozzle, and it also makes sure that I grab the proper can. So this is exactly what I'm looking for. And we want dust coats. We don't want to spray this wet. So based on the location of this, I'm going to come in and I'm going to spray straight, kind of like a robot. It's going to look like this. That's all I'm looking for. See, it's not wet. It's a very light application, and that's the proper usage. If it's looking really wet and saturated, that's telling me that you applied too much. Either you were too close or you were too slow. So we're looking for straight motion, and we're looking for a dust coat application. You want to spray straight. You don't want to dip it, because if you dip it with your can or you arc your wrist, you're going to spray really light, very heavy, and really light. So we're looking for a consistent light spray about a foot from the defect. After you've completed your repair, it's very important to pick up the piece, view it as it would be on the cabinet, arm's length away, inspect the repair, make sure it's invisible. If not, go back and rework it.